Hey, whoa. Check it out. Let me talk to you real quick. Saturday, April 12th, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Yours truly at itzKRUP, that's me, will be interviewing Ryan Woodcock, aka Bloodhound. If you don't know about the man, make sure you stop in, check it out, hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that, man.
Hard. He work hard, too.
I wake hard.
Yeah.
I get up at 4 o'clock and get my breakfast done just as dawn.
He work hard.
I love how this black when the music don't vibe. Gotta hustle to the block. I got it in my jeans with a crease down the seams, if you know what I mean. She look like that with the bag so wet. Gotta slap that fat. Had a blue Cadillac, way back so crack. Double up on the sack, now fact check that. I love how this black when the music don't vibe. Gotta hustle to the block. Dark denim jeans with a crease down the seams, if you know what I mean. She look like that with the bag so wet. Gotta slap that fat with the blue Cadillac, way back so crack. But I'll never look back, now fact check that. Hell, I might as well bring it that time that I barely made bail. In the zone itching, gotta listen to the bitch. I gotta watch my back, my daddy taught me that. I miss it so much, I'm pissing so much. Food on my truck, got my stomach fucked up. One for the party and two for the show. I fuck that shit, I'm ready, let's go. So much time has come and gone. A lot of my homies are dead and gone. That's the price when you roll the dice. Raised up in Christ, red beans and rice. So take advice, we won't think twice. And southern boys ain't nothing nice. I'll hold you up like a mounted deer. Better buckle up when you're right around here. I'm Bloodhound, how rude of me. I can draw a crowd in Tennessee. Mississippi's where I was born and raised. Down south side, can't where I bathe. And my kids will do the same. I get on when it's on, I'm spitting game. Stick around and hold me down. I know this ground, I am a hound. Lock your doors and lock them tight. We hunting boars, it's on tonight. I can smell the tusk deep in the wind. Wonder when they gonna come back again. Probably left for the tit, then Central Mississippi when they running in rut. Yeah, they hunting for the butt. You can call it in heat, running on your feet. I just wanna take him, he's a tasty treat. I love riders black when the music don't bop. Gotta hustle to the block. Dark denim jeans with a crease down the seams, if you know what I mean. She look like that with the bag so whack. Gotta slap that fat. Had a blue Cadillac, way back so crack. Double up on the sack, now fact check that. Some of y'all said I disappeared. Never went nowhere, been right here. I know I got them represented, tucking on the clippers, and I gotta take the heart and then fill it with fear. Right now to the fans, to the ones understand. Don't never take a break, gotta steady get the cake. We were cut from a cloth, we will never take a loss. Gotta aim for the things, got a name for the team. Big box Chevy with 350 crate. Gotta meet my date, and I hope I'm not late. Holly for a pump and the fuel, it will dump. You can hear me down the street like I'm at a track meet. Bloodhound dog, yes that is me. Don't take too long, I'm a sight to see. Just when you see me and you greet me, you'll probably look and say, I love riders black when the music don't bop. Gotta hustle to the block. Dark denim jeans with a crease down the seams, if you know what I mean. She look like that with the back so whack. Gotta slap that fat with the blue Cadillac, way back so crack. I'll never look back, now fact check that.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your lossy. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python. Grab what I like real fast, choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Hey, yeah. What is good, YouTube? We are here live on the Corrupt Cartel. We got Mr. Bloodhound himself, aka Ryan Woodcock, whichever way you want to say that. Ryan Woodcock, aka Bloodhound, whatever it is. Bloodhound Nation salute. What's happening with you, man?
Oh man, you see it, can't call it. Another day in paradise.
I got you. Hey man, I kind of want to just throw something out here, right? I just want to throw a little piece of bait out here, right? For anybody who's in here, anybody who comes along on the replay gang, any of that, man. Without going into any detail at all, without going into what transpired after, could you just tell the people at one point in life what was a maximum charge you were looking at?
Like the charge or the time?
The charge, what they were saying initially. Not what you took, not what you were looking at 19 or whatever it was.
Yeah. July 3rd, 2006, at 19 years old, I was arrested for first-degree murder.
All right, y'all heard that. Now stick around to find out about it. So, Bloodhound Nation, man. A lot of people are probably looking at this, seeing the little promo things, if they even saw them or getting wind of this, thinking, it's Bloodhound, bro. It's country rap. Like, he gonna come on here, he gonna talk about country rap. But anybody who's not aware, Bloodhound has his own podcast going on now about country rap. So to really come over here and really just go full-fledged country rap, I think that's doing an injustice, man, because there's way more to this man Bloodhound than country rap, right? I mean, I'll say it for you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say it for you, bro. You've lived some tales, man. You lived some tales. Like, tell me about the early days of Bloodhound, man. Like the being a child, coming up as a child in Mississippi, and what type of individual was Bloodhound at that point in life?
Well, first and foremost, I'll say this: the real ones are gonna see it.
Right?
That the old saying my brother used to say, "Real recognize real." Before anybody else was saying, I'll be damned if he wasn't the one that come up with the saying, "Real recognize real." He was telling me that shit uh, pre Hurricane Katrina,
Right?
and so the real ones are gonna see it, and my music will be loved by many, but only wrote for few, and that's fine. I just answer the call. But as far as like the young bloodhound coming up, growing up, um, my story is no different than the next person. I had a fucked up childhood.
Right?
Um, Primarily being young, and this is what I say. This is where I get my country background from. The state took me from my parents at a very, very young age,
Mm,
and right before being put up for adoption, my grandparents chose to come get me,
right.
against the
That,
will of my grandmother. Uh, so I was
that-
raised by my grandparents until the age of 13, 14.
is that
Uh,
about the time you started getting out, getting wild a little bit?
no, I had already been getting out and getting wild by like 9, 10.
Right.
Uh,
I'm right there
but
with you on that. Yeah. Yeah.
but I left. I moved out of my grandparents' house because my grandmother just didn't want me there no more. She I don't have a loving, caring grandmother like normal people do. She's a
Right.
very southern, religious woman who views, I was some child born out of wedlock. That's how she's always
Mm.
kind of viewed
Black and
me.
white. Yeah, everything's black and
Yeah.
white to
That
those old southern schooled ones. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
old Mississippi Meridian, Mississippi Southern lifestyle, if you have a child out of wedlock, then that's a bastard child,
Yeah.
and that's what I was. But let me say this. Let me say this. Um, I had a grandfather that that made up for it more than enough. I couldn't have asked for a better grandfather.
That's awesome. Yeah.
He supported me, and that's what took me so long to actually step into rap and hip hop, because I knew the very second that I started to do rap and hip hop that it would break his heart. Like he did not like rap. He
So
didn't want me to.
that was your father figure in a sense.
Well, yeah, when I was younger, yeah,
Yeah.
when I was younger, he potty trained me and taught me how to ride a bike, took me fishing, paid for what little bit of guitar lessons and I had banjo lessons, and he would take me to the bluegrass festivals, and we would hit all these festivals, and he would show me off and enter me into talent shows and competitions, and we would knock them out left and right. Finally wound up going to won a competition that landed us in Nashville, so he took me to Nashville. And so, yeah, he was basically my father until he could not control me no more. And then my stepdad, who really was my dad, he had been my dad since I was 5. You know, he was a very important father figure in my life until he fell to his vices, and my parents got a divorce behind a drug called crack cocaine.
Yeah,
And
bro, I had to do it. I had to do it.
and then at that time, so at that time I was 18. So then my older brother, who really by blood is not my brother,
Right.
but but I moved in with him, and from 18 he raised me. But at the same time, he lived his life by a very strict street code. So
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole country shit is, that's cute and all, but where we're going could get you killed,
yeah,
and that's why he's no longer with us. That's why I have a murder charge. So I say things that people are like, what, man, he's full of shit. But then when you actually look into what I'm saying and you do your research and Google me, and whatever all these people do have done on TikTok
yeah.
multiple times, you'll see, I'm not lying. And that's what I mean when I say the real ones will see. The real
But
ones will see.
you skipped ahead a little bit. You skipped ahead a little bit of where I was trying to go. You went from the 9, 10, 13 to 18 range. There's a time period right in there in the midst of that you found yourself getting into some kind of trouble that ended you going to a military school. Is that right?
Yeah, look, so let me back up, man, and tell you the story. So my grandfather had got me a guitar for Christmas when I was 13, and he bought me a book with it and a CD that, introduced you to it to teach you how to play it.
Right.
And I had read the book, and within like 3 or 4 hours, I had already caught on to like the first couple songs that the book was teaching. So he was like, "Well,
Yeah.
I'll be damned, you might need lessons." So anyway, so I started to play the guitar. In the meantime, okay, so I'm like 13 at this time. My dad, my stepdad, Ricky, he finished sheetrock for a living,
Right.
and there was an
I'm very
old.
familiar.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I know, yeah, I seen it.
I'm very familiar. Yeah, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah. I grew up. I can smell it right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, bro. I already
um,
know.
yeah, but at 13, my dad. I'm gonna call him my dad from here on out in the interview.
All right.
I only ever referred to him as my dad after his death, which is a huge regret in my life. But my dad uh did some sheetrock work on this old man's house. He finished his ceiling in his kitchen because his wife caught the kitchen on fire trying to kill him. She wanted
Sheesh.
Yeah, she wanted a divorce, but she wanted some money, so she tried to kill him. So my dad came and done the sheetrock, you know, and while he was finishing the ceiling, it was just normal acoustic ceiling.
Yeah.
He heard the old man playing the guitar. And so, he knew the old man. They lived in a trailer out in Woolmarket on the river. So they didn't have a whole lot of money. So he was like, "Well, you did such a good job. I woke up at midnight to come back in my kitchen and turn the light on and just stare at the ceiling because it looked so good. You did such a good job. What do
Nice.
I owe you?" And my dad said, "I tell you what,
Bargain.
I'm going to bring my son over here, and I
Yeah.
want you to teach my son how to play the guitar." I already knew how to play the guitar, but
Yeah.
he wanted me take me to
Like
that next
that.
level. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He wanted to turn me into like a lead guitar player. So the old man who wound up being my Uncle Mike, he told my dad, he said, "Listen, here's how it works. You can bring him over here and I'll show him some stuff on the guitar, but either he's got it or he don't. You
Yeah.
know, you either got it or you don't. There's, it can't be the game is to be told, not sold. You know what I'm saying?"
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So long story short, moving forward, I go over there, play the guitar, blow him away. He says, "Absolutely, you are gifted. You have talent. Absolutely." So about a month goes by, and she tries to kill him again. But this time, she gave him some sleeping pills, and he went to sleep in the master bedroom. And I know the fire started in where the old hot water heater tanks are in these mobile homes.
Yeah,
If you take the plate off of the hot water heater while it's still got electricity on it and the elements are exposed,
yeah.
you throw gasoline on that, it'll ignite and catch fire. And so,
Then it's a big boom.
oh yeah, so she
Yeah,
caught the whole laundry room on fire. So, ironically enough, her and her their granddaughter was able to escape out the house while they left him asleep in the master bedroom. Why she was never arrested for attempted murder, I'll never understand.
there ain't no irony there, bro.
Right.
She had the escape plan planned before she ever ignited the laundry room, bro. She knew
two
she was getting
two
out.
fires and two fires and damn near within 5 weeks of each other. Two fires. Like it's you know,
She she decided divorce wasn't enough, man. That
right.
life
She wanted to
insurance looked a
kill this
lot
like
better.
yeah, my
Yeah,
Aunt Pat wanted to kill my Uncle Mike. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
So but by the grace of God, he woke up. He was on sleeping pill. He shouldn't have woke up. And I gotta tell you, he has polio, so he walks differently.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah,
he is a guitar player because he couldn't work a normal job. He had polio, so he had to learn how to play the guitar to make a living. So his whole
yeah.
life through the late 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, he was a guitar player, you know.
Right,
And
right.
anyway, he wakes up, he gets out, crawls out the window. They decide to go separate ways, okay, before
I
she kills
bet.
him. You know,
Damn,
they just
yeah.
lost everything in a fire. And so my dad goes back out there and he says, "What are you going to do?" And the old man says, "I guess I'm going to sleep on a tent by the river." And my dad says, "Man, just grab everything you can and you can come move in with us." Now, my dad
Yes,
was a
sir.
very bad, violent, raging alcoholic, but at the same time, when he wasn't drinking, he was a kind hearted person. He would help
Right,
anybody out, you know, the type of
right.
person that would pick dogs and cats up off the side of the road,
Yeah.
you know.
That alcohol
So,
can change people, man. Yeah.
yeah. So long story short, he comes in and moves in with us. And we take the garage portion of the house and turn it into like his room, but at the same time, eventually, not right off, but eventually it turned into like a little bar room. I even went back to the burnt trailer and walked through that burnt ass trailer through the smut and all that stuff and grabbed the
Yeah.
drum set that he had and I cleaned the drums. I wiped the smut off of the zildjian cymbals and off the drum set. And my uncle Mike told me, he said, if you go in that burnt trailer and you grab that drum set and you come over here and set them up back at your house, I'll teach you how to play the drums too. So that's how I learned how to play the drums. The out of
Well,
all of the
yeah,
stuff in the house, the drum set was still intact. It didn't catch on fire for some reason.
that's
And
crazy.
it
Yeah.
was covered in smut, like it was completely black,
Yeah.
but nothing had burnt on it. So
You
long story short,
you had to earn them drums twice, bro. You had to earn
yeah,
playing them
yeah.
drums twice. Yeah. Hey,
So
but
long story,
everybody my fault, my fault. Anybody out there that's listening, man, um, you guys go check him out. If you ain't heard him play the guitar, man, he says that he's rough with it right now. But bro,
I
that dude
am.
right there, he can hit them licks on the guitar, bro. Sorry to interrupt you, man.
Yeah, yeah. I wish we had social media back in the '90s, but anyway, but anyway, what I'm getting at is this man who eventually became my Uncle Mike moved in with us, and a way to keep me from running the streets and staying out of trouble because we did live in a bad neighborhood.
Right.
Uh, my dad made this man. He didn't make him, but made him teach me how to play the guitar. Every day was a guitar lesson all day long at my house. And he felt like that was his way of earning his keep around at
Yeah,
the house. That was him
I
like
can see
paying
that.
rent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I can see
Homework
that.
wasn't important in my house. Grades wasn't important in my house. The only thing important in my house was, did you stand up for yourself today at school? Because, living in Mississippi, racism is a big part of your life, whether you admit it or not. And so,
Mississippi's wild.
yeah, especially North Gulfport, 7th and 8th grade. And so, did you stand up for yourself? And did you learn anything on the guitar today? Like they really
Yeah,
push guitar. So my Uncle Mike moved in and he taught me how to play the guitar. So at 14 years old, he told my mom and daddy he was like, he's ready. he's ready. We need to set some gigs up.
Yeah.
And you know, I literally have pictures, right, a photo album that I can grab to show people that think I'm lying. At 15 years old, we were doing the circuit on the coast, playing jigs, fish camp, daffies on the water, uh, eh, uh, 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 Club 59, 151, at 14 and 15 years old,
That's
until
awesome.
eventually the state began to crack down on underage people inside of the bar rooms. Like the
Right.
sheriff's department would come during the 90s, they would come in the bar room and, or, you know, arrest the owner if he
Oh, they
had any
and hit them with super fines.
super fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
back then they were actually shutting you down.
Right.
Like they were
Right.
cracking down. So I remember one night in specifically, they left me at the apartment and I was watching X-Men or something. And my dad comes through the door drunk, slings the door, has a cowboy hat on.
Yeah.
Ryan, get your guitar, get your guitar, you know. So I get my guitar and
Wow.
we get in the car and he's going back to the bar. My Uncle Mike's already there. They got a band already there. My Uncle Mike was actually playing a gig that night and he said,
Yeah.
look, towards the end of the gig, I want you to go home and get Ryan and bring him back. And so on the way there, my dad's like, man, you're fixing to blow their fucking mind. I just know it, you know, and he's shifting gears in the Mazda Priya that we had. And we walked in the bar and the police was there.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. And that was the last time I'd never been able to play like, you know, for adults with
Yeah.
alcohol. I was
Yeah.
signing autographs at 14 years old because these people, these adults, they I can't tell, at least once or twice a week in my life, somebody somewhere would always come to me and say, "You're special. You're gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
something."
You
You
got
know?
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You got the juice now, Bloodhound.
yeah,
But so,
yeah,
bro, I mean, but this sounds great, bro. Like, I mean, there's parts that aren't great but I know that. But I
yeah,
mean that part of it sounds like a whole experience as a youth. So
yeah.
how did that guy right there that's getting autographs from adults that people are telling it is special? How did that dude end up in the daggone military school, bro?
Well, I had gotten out there, um, you know, pretty bad. At 17, at 17, I was introduced to crystal meth. It was everywhere, and
Mm,
and 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 the little. By this time, I had done moved out of my mom and dad's and moved in with my best friend and his family, and they lived in like it was in the country. They lived way out in the fucking country where I got a deer stand out there still to this day. However, it's a neighborhood in the middle of the name of the neighborhood is Mutton Ridge, and back then it was like the hood. You could score anything. Like there
okay.
were shootings, and I mean the police stayed deep. They was cooking dope out there.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
rough in Mutton Ridge. So I was introduced to crystal meth at 17 and got kicked out of school. Went to private school, got kicked out of private school, went to another private school, got kicked out of that private school. So then the doctors come to my family and was like, hey, if y'all put him on this medication, then he might act different. Well, long story short, I refused to accept the medication. And I never will forget it. I had a homeboy one time named Random Cuevas, and we were selling weed at the time. He had a quarter pound and I had a quarter pound. So we bought a half a
Yeah.
pound and we
Yeah.
were selling weed to my dad's friends on the side. My mama didn't know about it. I never will forget, man. I had a knock on the door, my bedroom door in my mama's house. The knock came on my bedroom door. And I just knew my mama or my daddy don't knock like that. On my own bedroom door, I
Yeah.
knew it was the police. So when I
Um,
opened the door, there they were, Gulfport police standing in the hallway. And they was
boom,
like,
boom,
you
boom.
got to come with us and
Man.
on some judge's orders or whatever. And so they arrest me.
You were 17 still.
At this time, I was either 16 or 17 at this time.
Right.
And I went to juvenile hall, which I had been there before, but I don't remember why. But this time I remember why. Actually, I had met Random in juvenile hall the first time, but anyway, the cop arrested me, left Random at my house, and shout out, rest in peace, Random Quavers, man.
That's
But
a hell of a name.
but they arrested me, and I went to juvenile hall. I was in lockdown at juvenile for 2 weeks, and then they brought me in front of the judge, and the judge had mentioned something about a boys' home in Tennessee. That Mississippi and Tennessee, but then he also mentioned Walnut Grove, which is the juvenile facility for the state of Mississippi, Walnut Grove. And
Right.
then they mentioned the RIG program. There's something called the RIG program where you go. It's basically boot camp. If you can't complete it, then you go to prison. But then another person who was representing the United States military, a representative of the government on the behalf of the United States military would present themselves in court during these juvenile trials, and they would
Right.
say, "Your Honor, we feel like this inmate, this juvenile inmate is a good candidate for our youth challenge program."
Mm.
And so that came up, and the judge told me, he looked me dead in my eyes. He said, "I'm gonna tell you right now, young man, I'm sending you to Camp Shelby for 5 months. If you leave or if you fail that program, you will go to Walnut Grove." And it scared the shit out of me. And so I left. Like, I made bond that day, and by court order, the next day or a couple of days later, my family had to bring me to Camp Shelby when they were they were doing enroll at Camp Shelby. There's a
Yeah.
picture floating around the internet of me. I was 17. I got on some white K-Swiss and some gray shorts. And you can look and you can tell in the background and just look at me, and you could tell that I'm on a military facility camp.
Yeah. On a
Basically
base.
on
Yeah.
the base. So basically
Yeah.
the base had taken, pretty much this area, the half the size of a decent neighborhood, and turned it into a juvenile rehabilitation center with the hopes that these juveniles will eventually join the military. That was the whole game.
So while being in there, man, is that something you would say is something that's beneficial to youth? Like, are there things that were instilled in you while you were there that
Oh,
you maybe
absolutely.
you wouldn't have got anywhere else? Do
Oh,
you think
absolutely.
do you think that it's something that should be pushed more?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I wouldn't have a GED right now if I hadn't went there. I wouldn't know CPR if I hadn't went there.
Right. Right.
I had two other father figures in my life. Both of them are black men, Sergeant Ricky Young and Sergeant Miller. They just, for some reason, they just seen the talent in me, and they took a liking to me. And out of 800 cadets, I was one of six that was allowed to bring instruments and start a band. The
Right.
the the actual United States military seen that Cadet Austin Woodcock is truly talented, and we could use this to our benefit. So they helped us towards the end of the program. They help me put a band together. And when I think it was the 82nd Airborne, before they left for the Battle of Fallujah in 2004, our band played. It was huge. They had like 1,000 troops out there in the field. They had a big benefit, and
Right.
I was the band for the benefit.
My
And
father was 82nd Airborne, and then he got moved to 101st Screaming Eagles, but it was
yeah,
way before that time frame though. Yeah, but you
it was
said
before
82nd,
04.
it clicked. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was before Fallujah and all that. Yeah,
yeah,
he
yeah.
was 82nd in his early days. Shortly after Vietnam and all that, they said that well, after Vietnam, they said that the 82nd Airborne came back and they were known as the Jumping Junkies. I mean, they're airborne, and they came back from Vietnam, and a lot of them was junkied out, man. So when my dad went to it, they were still being referred as to the jumping junkies, and my dad's straight edge, square as they can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Don't even
preacher,
drink
right? Yeah,
alcohol. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yeah. So now, man, being in a school like that, bro, where you only get certain passes to leave. I mean, it's a military concept, so you're around a bunch of dudes your age, and at that age, dudes are silly, man. Like, what is there some wild instances in there that you can recall of? I bet. That's why the question was there, man. Let's get to that. What's up, Mike King? Good to see you, bro.
Camp Shelby, I know this is going to sound wrong, and don't let this deter anybody that's listening to this, because this is not what it's meant for. But Camp Shelby prepared me for the penitentiary. Absolutely.
Right.
Um, Camp Shelby prepared a lot of my best friends that I had made in that program. My best friends have went and died in Fallujah. I discussed some of them in some of my lives, like Nana Maker. I miss him. There's just a lot of them.
Mhm.
Stokes. Um, but they went to the military, and I went to the
Yeah.
penitentiary. And
Well, you went to the streets first, right? You graduated. You graduated as a special level cadet, right? And then
I was a ranger.
yeah, you were up there as far as cadets could be as graduating. You graduated, you came out. Probably your family units looking at you like, all right, he's gonna come out, he's gonna be fresh, he's gonna be what we wanted him to be the whole time, and you hit the streets, right?
Because I had made ranger platoon, and uh, I was the platoon sergeant for the Rangers.
Mhm.
I was the platoon leader. So that meant leading a group of 75 cadets, 15 females and the rest of them males. I had to save a little girl's. I had a little girl. She was about 17. When we did our water training, they put us in a pool where the water was probably 2 or 3 degrees, and so we had to swim from one side to the other. And some cadets come out the other side in hypothermia.
Blue.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
no other cadre on the others, because the cadre's not fixing to get in that water and swim across there.
right,
So there's
right.
no other cadre on the other side. So I was the first one there when she fell out. When I come out of the water, freezing, and we're not in fatigues. We're in swim shorts, and so
Sheesh.
oh man, it would be labeled
Treacherous.
child abuse now,
Yeah.
but I seen her fall out. I come out the water, and I immediately started CPR. And when Sergeant Ricky Young seen me do that, he was like, "Yeah, you need to be the platoon sergeant." We had to carry her back from the where the water training was all the way back
Mhm,
to the barracks, which was probably 4 miles. So we
mhm.
had to carry her on a gurney for 4 miles, and I refused to let them put her down. We kept her wrapped up. But whether I saved her life or not, that's something that I think about from time to time. Maybe I did, maybe I don't know. But that's what got me the title of platoon sergeant. And so I got to saying cadences, and when I got to saying cadences when we would march, that began to help me. Whether looking back, hindsight, looking back, when I would say a cadence, that would begin to help me form my style of hip hop. Like,
Right.
we say in cadence, out cadence, delayed cadence, out one cadence. That
Mhm.
that help, help, right. That
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cadence that
Left,
you. Yeah,
left, right, left.
yeah.
There's a song that said that shit back in the day, wasn't it? Keep it in step, keep it in
Yeah,
step. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
that was big actually back. And another one that was big when they would call us to attention, the cadres would say platoon, 10 hut. We'd say, "No, if you buck, boy."
Hey, yeah, Nook, if you book, what? Nook, if
Yeah.
you book, what?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, man,
we were
yeah.
kids, but so that got the attention of the special forces in the United States Army, in the Navy, in the Air Force. So they started to send recruiters to come and take me to lunch. They would buy me clothes. They would bring me McDonald's breakfasts. They would just want to come and talk to me, and
You
so
being recruited, yeah, like
yeah, they
athlete
wanted
being
me to
recruited.
go. They wanted me to go straight into special forces. That's the whole point of being a ranger. If you go to this program and you actually make it into the ranger platoon, then you have an opportunity to go straight into special forces. You don't have to go through basic like normal
Right.
soldiers do. So anyway, long story short, I never really scored high enough on the ASVAB in order to make special forces, even though I could, but I didn't give a fuck because my mind frame was still on the streets. And I had a best friend in Eagle Platoon that was next to me that asked me one day, have I ever done cocaine? And so I said no. And he was like, look, bro, have you ever rolled on ecstasy? No. Have you ever done cocaine? No. Okay, bro. The next leave that we get, don't go to your house, come with me. So I write my home and I'm like, look, I'm not coming home on my next leave. I'm going to my friend's house in Hattiesburg, which is a college town.
Yeah.
And so I told the story on my live one day. His best friend's a millionaire. His family owns one of the biggest fast food chains in Mississippi, Ward's Burgers. And so that's who came and picked us up. And
Yeah.
so I was introduced to cocaine. And I did graduate Camp Shelby. I did graduate in high honors as a platoon sergeant for the Rangers. And
Yeah.
but I had let so many officers and cadres and colonel. I never will forget. They called me in for a random drug test one. We got random drug tests.
Yeah.
They called me in for random drug tests, and I took the drug test. And the first, there was three of us. The first two cadets failed it, and the Colonel Krausen looked at them and told them straight up, go pack up, you going home," like that, you know. And
Yeah.
and one of them might have been looking at time. So when he says pack it up and go home, that means that this young man is fixing to go to prison.
About to get a
So
warrant. Yeah.
so I go and take the drug test, and I fail it. And the colonel knows that if he kicks me out of the program, I got to go to Walnut Grove. And so he looks at it, and I failed it for marijuana. And he looks at the cup, and you can barely see the line on the cup. You can barely see it. I never will forget what he said. He took it and he threw it in the trash. And he looked at me and he said, "Woodcock," he said, "either you're going to do music for a living or you're going to smoke weed for a living, but you can't do both. You need to make your mind up." And he gave me a chance and he let me make it. And he let me go back to the platoon. So
Yeah.
when I didn't follow out the whole program and go into the military and go to Fallujah and
Yeah.
probably die from the mind frame that I was in at that time, I wanted I wanted to die for my country.
Yeah.
I was your Huckleberry. It wasn't too long after they ran them planes in the towers. So we're
Yeah.
still kind of off,
Yeah.
fiery off that, So
Yeah. I
I
remember
so if
that.
I
I remember that.
so God knew that if I went into the military, I would be dead. And that was my whole point. I wanted to go die. That, like, there are people who enroll back then. I don't know about now, but back then there were people, young men, who enrolled in the military and was like, I will give my life for my country. And I knew some of them.
I
And so
definitely had the thoughts of I want to go to war. Like I want to participate. I didn't think I wanted. Like I figured I'd go over there and I would make it home, but I wanted to participate in the war. I
yeah,
remember having that feeling.
yeah, no, I wanted to give my life for my country.
Right.
I wanted to. And so but it didn't work out. And so then I went to the streets. And that kind of made stuff tight at home. They thought I was going to go the military route. So then I eventually was with my brother, who became a father figure like 24/7.
Yeah.
And we winded up getting a house, renting a house, not too far from where his mother stayed. It was a 2-story house, believe it or not. And we turned it into a trap house.
Yeah.
And so that's where we cooked crack. We got cocaine. We shot
That
dice.
that happens quickly. A regular
Uh,
house can turn into a trap house in a matter
uh,
of 2 days.
2, 3 day, yeah, and then that's after you flip out and kick everybody out. A whole new slew of motherfuckers show up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
And
ain't lying.
you can just give up trying to live a normal life because that ain't. And then my mama enrolled me into college during this time. And it's like,
She's so hopeful still, though. She's
she's
hopeful,
holding on to
right?
hope. And
Yeah.
so I would get my book bag and books in the living room and go to get in my car, and then my roommate, my brother, and them, they're all laughing at me. Nigga, where you going?
Yeah. You ain't
You ain't
going
going to
nowhere.
college.
You going to rock up, bro. What you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. And so we lived in this house for about 8 months, and anything that could be sold on the streets, we sold. A bunch of bad stuff happened. There's a book that's actually wrote called "Take Me Back to Side Camp." It's not published yet, but it's finished. Uh, it's
So
been finished through an AI editing program. It took almost 10 years to write it, and
goodness.
one day I'll release it. But the book goes into detail about
Yeah.
that time frame in my life. It
Where
goes.
whereabouts in that time frame would you consider that you
This
knew
is
that you were addicted?
This is when, so now I'm 18. This is 18, 19 now, So I moved out after Camp Shelby. I come home and it just wasn't, they thought I was going in the military and I didn't. And so I had to move. So I moved out and I got my own place, me, my brother, my best friend. And uh, I was 18, 19. And being an addict, I never realized I was an addict until here recently when I released Welcome to My Addiction. I never really, I know they say the first step is admitting. I never really admitted that I was an addict until I was 38 years old, which is here
I
recently,
know. I
but
mean, I'm not that I'm not that far removed from it myself. It was well, I don't know. I think in my late 20s I started realizing it, but it wasn't a problem, right? But
right.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Like because if I found out like once I didn't have the rocks 30s or the methadone 10s or whatever it was that was on at that moment, I found out then that I needed those, which in theory makes me an addict now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because without them, I'm sick. So I knew that, but I could just boom get them again, and it was no problem. And so you know what I mean, functioning addict. It wasn't no big deal, but
Yes.
it probably once I got into my 30s that became a problem, and I'm like, I'm like for real an addict.
It's a
Like,
bill now.
yeah. Because you know what I mean? Like I quit hustling, doing all that. Back in the day, I would hustle, and that would just at worst case offset. You know what I mean? I'd make
Right.
5 racks right here, so that offset this month of 5 racks worth of dope,
No.
you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. There was so much money. Oh my God, there was so much money that came through the house. We would
Yeah.
be late on rent for no reason. Like
I,
we had tens of thousands of dollars. We
I
had
already know.
probably 15 1 gallon Ziploc bags full of ecstasy pills stashed in my walls in my room.
Just
Uh,
chilling, yeah.
we
Yeah.
had a con man that was released on parole in Tennessee. He came down to Mississippi to work for her to do the Hurricane Katrina recovery work, and he moved into my closet, and he had 28. Yeah, he moved into my closet, and he had $28,000 on him. And I was pissed off because at that time I was actually trying to clean the house up and get rid of the crackheads. But at that time he
Yeah.
come through, he was smoking hard, and but he had
28
20.
racks in his
He had
pocket.
28, right? Yeah. Yeah.
That could be yours.
Yeah. So I'm getting up one day getting ready to go to work, which is ironic enough, even though through all the hustling and the street running and the drugs and stuff,
Yeah.
because we're still rebuilding Mississippi from Hurricane Katrina,
Hmm.
everybody is able to go out and learn a trade. And so
Right.
I was able to get in the electrical field, and it didn't matter if I had been up for 1 day or 2 days or how late I stayed up. I still got my ass up and went
I,
to
I,
work because
I
my
was the
cousin
same way.
my cousin happened to own an electrical company. He still does. Not a big one, just one he runs out of his house or whatever. Which we were pushing dope out.
Yeah, hey, it all makes sense to me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I don't know if the people listening, I mean, some
yeah.
will, I know some will,
We
but some of it will go over people's heads. But this, like,
yeah.
this makes sense.
Yeah, we riding the box truck wiring 3-story houses with water damage, and we're thinking, who is close by that we can call, that we can serve. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, yeah.
we, I mean, we had that at the work in the electrical field actually opened doors for more street business for me. I got to meet more people out there,
Oh
like
yeah, that they trying to
refugees
keep going
advocates.
too.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They trying to
so I
keep.
still got up and went to work every day. I still and that's why I know my trade as well. But I say all that to say this. I got up one morning to go to work, and the guy was living in my closet. And I got up and I got ready, and I'm like, "All right, man, I'll see y'all when I get home. I'm finna go to work." Well, he wakes up and he says, "Hey, bro," and keep in mind, I'm 19. And this dude
Yeah.
is, 31, living in my closet with his old lady. And they're full blown
Oh, there's
crackheads.
two of them.
With his old lady, yeah.
Ah,
And
okay,
so
okay.
and so like
How
I'm
big's your
finna go to work.
closet?
Yeah, it was a pretty big closet. But he's like, "Hey bro, do you got some lunch money? Do you need some lunch money?" And I was like, "Yeah, I
Yeah,
do. I ain't got
yeah.
shit. Yeah, I need
What you
some lunch
want?
money."
Yeah,
So he rolls over and opens, they had a little dresser in the closet. He
yeah.
opens the drawer. The drawer is full of wrapped up $100 bills, like
Uh,
full.
yeah.
So he
Meat
just
roll
pulls a
click.
he just pulls a bill out and hands it to me. And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Have a good day. I'll see you when you get back." And like there's so many fucking stories and unbelievable shit that happened. I won't go into it, but it's just unbelievable. It was unbelievable times. It really
I
was.
I know them times, bro. I know similar times at
Yeah.
least. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
man. It can be wild, and it's we can look back on it and smile now, but in
yeah.
no means is it glorified because when you're
No.
living that life, it gets to be so just redundant. It's probably the best word.
I got tired of seeing the sun come up. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
I would literally throw up when I seen the sun come up. I got tired. So we're living in this house, and one day, normally without going into a whole bunch of details, uh this guy pulls up to the house. Uh we just buried his 12-year-old little daughters. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
So he pulls up to the house and he wants some hard. And so I tell him, I don't have any on me, but we can run down to 28th Street and I can hook, I can make it happen, So all right, so I jump in with him.
Yeah,
This is just a normal day at the trap house, you know what I'm saying? And so my
yeah.
brother at the time though was locked up. He had got arrested and locked up. And when he got arrested and locked up, all this shit started to fall apart at the house. Like he
Mm,
kept shit in order. When my
you're
brother
missing an
would walk in a
element,
room, yeah, when my brother would walk in a room, people would shut up. Just the
right?
conversation would change. You know what I'm saying? Just his presence there was just. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
gotta believe me, but
I mean, there's philosophy to that. There's certain people who carry a certain type of energy and presence and the aura, and I mean, it's proven. Like
yeah.
I I get it. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he was a big philosopher. One of the
yeah.
he tell me all the time, "Loose lips sink ships. This too shall pass."
I'm
Um,
heavily in philosophy, bro.
yeah,
That's my thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Psychology and philosophy. That's my
Yeah,
thing.
right. And so, but he was locked up, so shit started to fall apart. So there wasn't no heart at the house, so we had to go to 28th Street, and we met up with some people. And because of some affiliation stuff that happened a week prior, one of the people we ran into had a smash on sight on his head.
Hmm.
And so it's because I was affiliated. When I see this guy, I'm supposed to, smash him on sight or whatever.
Otherwise, you're in
But
violation. Yeah,
he's in violation, correct? Right. But at the same time, I'm a man before I'm anything. I'm not just somebody's crash dummy. And we're at this store on Canal and 28th, and dude with me has nothing to do with this, so I don't want to bring him involved. So I act
right.
cool. I act like I don't know him. And so we go back to the FEMA camper, and they start cooking up cocaine. The cocaine's not rocking up. It's not rocking up. So then he quits, like he gives up, and we done gave him our money. And a little side note, I had taken 5 Xanax bars earlier that day, because that's
Yeah,
how
do
many
it.
it took, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So long story short, one thing led to another. So it was a crack deal that went bad, and so we agreed to meet up and fight, and we did. And guns got brought out, and the man that was killed was actually an innocent man with his children
Mm,
there, who all he did was drive them to the spot for us to fight, you know. And
right.
Ryan Christopher Braun, may he rest in peace. We call him Slim. But when I was there and the shooting was going on, when the shooting was done and over, he ran to his car and got in his car and shut the door, put his seatbelt on, put it in drive, and left. Like
Yeah,
nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like he was kind of in a hurry, but I was thinking, he had his kids in the back of the car and there's bullets
yeah.
flying everywhere. So I'm thinking he's running to the car. I'm pretty sure he ran to the
Really,
car to get
he's
his
in
kids
shock.
out. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Looking back, I realize now he's in shock. But
yeah,
at that time, I didn't think he was in shock. I thought he was just going to his car and
yeah,
moved
yeah,
it to protect the children. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Get
Because
the children out of there.
he almost left the dudes that rolled up with him. Like if they hadn't stopped shooting and turned around and ran, he'd have left them.
Right.
And which makes sense now because he was shot. I didn't know
Yeah,
it though.
yeah,
So he was actually trying to rush to the hospital. I didn't know
yeah,
it. But to me, he got in his car and drove away. I didn't know that he had been shot
yeah.
because he was actually a friend of mine. If I'd known he had been shot, things would have went differently.
Hmm.
And so my my charge partner that shot him knew that he had been shot.
Yeah, because that's something that I don't want to glaze over right there, man. Is that you were not the one in the possession of it,
I didn't
and
even have a gun. Right. I
right,
didn't even.
and whenever it got to going, you took cover, right?
Yeah, that when they got to going, I was the one they was trying to kill at first, and that's why they lost the gunfight. If they had been focused on my charge partner who had a gun and
Mm-hmm.
shot him first, and then come after me,
It'd
I
have been
wouldn't be
right.
talking to you right now because they were
Yeah,
there to kill us.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
But because I was the center of the whole, I started the shit on 28th Street. They started to shoot at me and totally they didn't even realize that the guy driving me is armed. And
yeah,
so while they're focused on me trying to shoot me, he's shooting them.
yeah,
And so that's probably what saved my life. And then I dove into the floorboard of the Dodge Neon that we were in. But I honestly, if I'm being totally honest, I honestly did not see my charge partner shoot him. I,
right,
according to science, it had to be him. If you
right,
look at the autopsy and you look at, the forensics and all that stuff, but I did not see nobody get shot. I didn't hear nobody get shot. I didn't smell anybody getting shot that day. When I got up out of the floorboard of the Dodge Neon, I seen him run to his car. I'm thinking to protect his kids and
yeah,
get in his car and drive away. I
yeah,
didn't know he was shot.
yeah,
So, but my charge partner, I think he knew he shot him. There was a little doubt in his mind. Maybe he didn't, but maybe he did. So I could tell there was something wrong with him on the ride home. So I told him, I said, "Look, bro, if anything happens, because he was out on parole for manslaughter already.
yeah,
So I told him, if
yeah,
anything
yeah.
happens, I said, just tell him I did it." And he looked at me and he was like, "For real?" I was like, "Yeah, bro." And he was like, "Damn." He was like, "I'm 19, he's 29. There's a
That's
10-year."
that sounds too good to be
Yeah,
true.
that's what
You
he
know what I
was thinking. It's
mean?
too good to be. There's a 10-year age gap between me and him. So then he starts to
Yeah,
talk to me. "Man, bro, even if you do, bro, you probably only gonna do so as such. You're 19, you'll be out and you can still live a life and blah blah blah." And so I'm like, "Ah, it's cool. I'll say I did it. It's cool. I did it. I did it." So then this girl calls me. By the time the word is spread around town, there was a shooting. And
mm,
so she calls me. She says, "What happened?" And then my dumb ass, I tell her, I pulled my piece
mm,
out and did what I had to do. And then, fuck, the Sun Herald found out who she was and interviewed her. and she told the Sun Herald that.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
So in the newspaper the very next morning, front page of the paper, there's me with my mugshot and there's my quote. I pulled out my piece and did what I had to do. So the whole town, not only
Bad
the
luck.
everybody thought I shot him. Everybody
Yeah.
thought I shot and killed him. You know what I'm saying?
Court of
And
public
so
opinion. You've done been judged, bro.
right, right. And so even when we were locked up, they took us to court one day together. And on the way back, when we were walking back to the zone, he was telling me, "Man, we got this beat. Uh, I don't want to go into too much detail, but he was like, "Don't worry, we got
Yeah.
this beat." You know, but he was still thinking the whole time that I was going to be the one, the fall guy. And this by this time, I knew that Slim had been killed. And so when he's talking to me,
Yeah.
I'm just ignoring him. I'm like, "Bro, I'm
Well,
not
it
fixing
sounds
to go
like
do this."
he been on a slight tip of manipulation ever since the jump off of it. It seemed like.
Yeah, this particular person who was also my roommate after the crackhead moved out, uh this particular roommate of mine, there's a 10-year age gap.
Yeah.
He moved in with his young boy and his old lady and actually bought like restoration to the house. Like there was structure to the house, you know.
Right.
It took violence for that to happen, but people just didn't show up and smoke crack on my front porch at 4 o'clock in the morning anymore. We have
Right.
children here now. You know what I'm saying? That,
Right. Right.
you know, so I give him that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but that, all that was taken away from us like that, you know?
Oh yeah.
And, and so, long story short, I eventually was able to bond out. I had $1 million bond, and they dropped it to something, and 50,000. And my grandfather, my grandpa, uh, was the warden. Called my grandfather was such a well respected person in the community. He knew the warden personally,
Yeah.
and the warden called my grandfather and called him into the office and said, "Hey, I'm going to talk to the judge and tell them to drop to drop the bond on your grandson." And so he comes up there and I bond out, and
That's a
I go,
blessing.
yeah, I go and meet my lawyer. My lawyer at that time. There should be a there. So there was a documentary done by the Discovery Channel about the Dixie Mafia during the
Mhm.
80s, and my lawyer is in that documentary. My lawyer used to be the DA that went after the Dixie Mafia. He used to
Uh,
prosecute the
okay.
Dixie Mafia. Yeah.
Hey,
So
those make
now
the
he's got a
best defense attorneys.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So now he's got a
Yeah.
defense practice, right? So now he
Yeah. They
defends.
make the best ones.
Right. So
Yeah.
and just so happens, my grandfather, once again, my grandfather was very good friends with him. They were in college. They were dorm mates in college together back in the.
But everybody still is looking at it though as you pulled your piece and did what you had to do, right? Like everybody's still looking at it like that. They reduced the bond because of the good old boy faction, but you're still being looked at as you did this treacherous event, but really you were ducking for your life. But
There,
now,
there's people that still don't believe me. There's people in the family that still believe I shot him.
uh, man. Well, I mean, I think if you did, like you would be able to come out and say, not like you've already served the time, and um,
Well, yeah,
it's
yeah.
so
Well, I think they can bring new charges against somebody based on some new if new evidence was to pop up, but
yeah, yeah, new
I didn't.
evidence.
I didn't even have a gun. That was Slim was a really good friend of mine. He used to come to the house and give me $100 to shoot dice. He
Right,
would win it right back, but you know, you know, I mean, Slim was one of my OGs. Like,
right,
even though we were in different organizations, I still looked up to him because he was a for real cocaine dealer. Like,
right,
straight
right.
up, this is what his full-time job was. He was meeting with the cartel. Like, he was talking to people that would cut his head off, and he was the same way.
But
They
as sad as it is, man, like we look up to some of these OGs and some of these certain people that we look up to, and they kill it on a lot of fronts of stuff they do, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily ever mean that they are good people. So you know what I mean, they could still be manipulative people. And now we're looking up to an OG thinking that they're this, that, and the third, and they are all that, but they also are manipulative, and that's how they're in the position they're in the first place. But we don't see that at the time. We're young, we're you know, there's a haze, they're the man, right? Like we want to be the man too. So we're just gonna play our position and move up. But
Oh
you can
yeah.
get manipulated in the game so easy, falling under the wrong people, you know?
Yeah, but my big brother had a very good knack for running those type of guys off.
Right.
Um, my brother knew the streets like the back of his hand. He helped write the street code, and he actually was a good person. When he was murdered, we had his funeral. um the funeral home couldn't even hold all the people that wanted to come. The fire marshal had to turn people away. That's how much he meant to the community. That's how many people, that's how many lives he touched, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Even though he
I've
was
thought about that myself, bro. Like who's gonna show up when you pass? Like how many people is really going to be affected by you passing and come pay their condolences? Like that says a lot.
yeah, yeah, but yeah. So I'm 18. I turn 19 at the house. The shooting happens. I get arrested. They drop the bond from 1 million to 50,000. I get out. I'm given strict orders to stay away from my brother, stay away from all them other people on the streets, and lay low for a while. So then I moved back in
Mhm.
with my grandparents. I never will forget it. I'm sleeping in my bedroom one night, and I see this dark figure in the corner of the room, and there's no smoking in my grandparents' house to this day. There's no smoking in.
Right.
The dark figure lights a cigarette in my grandparents' room. So I get mad, and I don't know if it's a demon or if like I'm finna. So I so I jump up, and I can still hear his deep. He had a deep. He didn't. He had a deep voice. He lit a
Yeah.
cigarette, and he's like, "Nigga, chill the fuck out."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I jump up. He's like, "Nigga, chill the fuck out." He tells me, he says, "Get dressed." And I'm like, "Oh my God, it's JB, my brother, JB." And he's like, "Get dressed. Come on, let's go." And I'm like, "Bruh, I'm not even supposed to be around you." And let me tell this story. So
Yeah. Go,
he,
go.
I said, "I'm not supposed to be around you. You know, me being around you is in violation of my bond agreement, and they could revoke it, and I could go back to jail." And he reached in his pocket, and he opened up about a half of some nuggets of marijuana, and he had some
Mm,
blue footballs, and he laid them on the bed, and
mm.
he said, now are you coming?" And then I was like, "Fuck." I said, I said, "All that's for me?" He was like,
Enticing.
"Yeah." He was like, "All that's for you, my nigga. I missed you. I love you. Get up. I need you." I said, "Well, what do you need? Where are we going?" And he wanted me to get up out of the bed and run him to his baby mama's house down in Gulfport so he can get some. So we get up out of the bed. So I run him. I never will forget it. We get it. I had at the time I had an 85 Sky Blue Regal on 150 Dayton knockoff rims. If you ever
Yeah.
seen the movie Training Day, that black
Yep.
Monte Carlo, that's what my car looked like, except it was sky blue. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we get in the Regal and we shoot towards Gulfport. I'll never forget. It was Twister and Mariah Carey playing on the CD player, just jamming. I tell you wanna love me. I don't know. And I never will forget it, man. And so we go there, and he don't even know which apartment door it is. It's still dark, okay, and this is the hood. So he gets out the car, and he starts walking up the windows like people's houses.
Oh hell.
Alicia.
Oh hell. Nah, bro. Nah, don't do that.
Yeah. So finally, he knocks on the right door and he walks in these apartment building, and I'm like, well, fuck, I don't know if these people finna kill him or, and then he puts his arm out the door and he's like, I'm good, and so I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, bet, and so then I leave. So now about the time the sun's coming up, you know what I'm saying, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm riding dirty. I got a half of marijuana. And I'm like, I broke my bond agreement. I'm with my brother, and I have a feeling in my soul that he's gonna call me to come pick him up when they get in an argument and they've been around each other too long. He's gonna need me to come pick him up
Mm-hmm.
and take him away from there, you know. But the one
Mm-hmm.
main thing about this story that makes it so special, I'll never forget. I was driving back home and the sun was coming up, and I said, like I said, I was still going to work every day. I said, well, before I
Right.
go to work, I got a little bit of time to go fishing. We had a pond behind the house. So I drove the Regal back there and got my fishing pole. And I went out there, and that's the first time that God really began to talk to my spirit and talk to my soul. And he told me,
Right.
people say, cast your cares upon the Lord, and he'll lift your burden, and blah 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 blah. God told me, uh whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall also reap. This is the life you chose. So because this is the life you chose, there's going to be repercussions behind it, but I want you to know that I love you and I will protect you. And
Preach.
I felt that in my heart. I didn't even catch a fish.
Yeah.
But I look back now, the whole reason that my brother came and snuck in my house at 4 o'clock in the morning to wake me up was not for me to bring him to his girlfriend, Alicia's, God rest her soul, rest in peace, Alicia, but so I could have that moment with God later on. Now that
Yes,
hindsight
sir.
looking back, yeah, that's why I was
Hey,
woken up.
I talk about it all the time, man. I believe in divine timing. There's a sense, there's a purpose to all of it, and you know what I mean. There's no coincidences. It is divine timing, bro. You will be in the
Divine
spot you're
timing.
supposed to be.
Yes. That's a
Yes,
perfect saying. I say divine intervention, but divine timing, that's perfect. I
divine
wouldn't have
timing, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said it any better. That's perfect.
I
And
mean,
so
because look, bro, like life. I say this. I say life is nothing except energy that we bring in and we expel.
right?
It's uh it's energy, perspective, and timing. So you know what I mean? Like that's what life is. Because if you can fix your perspective on any event, then it's not so bad. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah,
suffer more in imagination than ever in reality.
right.
So you got to be able to fix your perspective and see it in the way that God would be laying it down for you,
Yeah,
and
that
in the timing, and you have to have right energy about it. You know,
right. Yeah, right. That's something my brother would always say. He would say, let me tell you something, little cuz. There's people walking the streets that are more imprisoned than there are people in prison serving life free. And
I
I
can
never
see it.
really understood what he meant. I never understood it until I actually went to prison and met those people that are serving life in prison, but they are living a more free, depression free, stress free, God fearing life than we
Mhm.
would in the free world. You know what I'm
Right?
saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so he was putting me up on all this game at 17, 18, 19 years old. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
so,
man.
so long story short, uh, I fought a murder charge for 5 years. We exhausted all the times to push the court date,
Appeal.
to push the court, not appeals, but just
Oh
to push the court date back.
yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
lawyer said the further that we can get this away from the actual event that had happened, the more fair of a chance you'll get as at a trial.
Right.
So my attorney, along with the judge and the DA, was successfully pushed my trial off 5 years.
Mm.
But that's 5 years of my life that I
Yeah,
had to live on bond for murder. And
yeah.
and not knowing whether I would spend the rest of my life in prison. And so during this time, my daughter was born, and I fell in love with a girl who became my fiance. But we never would actually get married. And I'm talking about Marquita, my first baby mama. We
Yeah.
never would get married. And I believe because in the back of her mind, she knew that one day I'm going
The
to have
other
to go to trial for murder,
the
and
hat's
I
gonna
might
drop.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when that day come, I wind up going to trial for murder. She was there, and we had already been split up by then. My daughter was, I think, 3 years old. And so I went to trial for murder, and all that, everything, how all that happened is in the book. I mean, I can see God all through that. And what wound up happening was, at the trial lasted a week long. What wound up happening was, when it was time for the jury to deliberate, um, there was a older black lady that sat on the top, and I've never told this story. It's in the book, but there was an older black lady that sat on the top row where the jurors sit.
Yeah.
When my attorney got up to say his closing arguments, he said a bunch of stuff. But the one thing that he said that stuck out was what he said in the end. He said, "Look," he said, "the way the law is wrote, the state gets to come up and give their closing arguments twice. But the defense is only allowed to give their closing arguments once. With that being said, it's going to sound like the state is going to come up here and say things about Ryan Woodcock that can't be defended." And he said, "And I want you
Yeah.
to know that I can defend him." And so he sat down. When the state got up to give their last closing argument, that black lady sitting on the top row of the jurors, I never will forget, she folded her arms like this and turned her back to the DA, to the state, when they were giving their
Oh,
closing arguments, and she just locked eyes on me. And that whole time, she wasn't listening to what they were saying. She wasn't listening to what the attorneys were saying. She was looking at me, sitting there as a
yeah.
person, making her own judgment. Should I
Yeah.
put this young man in prison for the rest of his life? And so what wound up happening was, they went back to deliberate. Because of what transpired during the trial, I didn't have 12 jurors, I had 11. That's a whole
Oh
nother
wow.
story. But 5 of them found me guilty, and 6 of them found me not guilty. And I don't know, I can't prove this, but I just feel that that black lady had a lot to do with holding the line on me being not guilty. Because when they come back deadlocked, and they claimed that they were a hung jury, and
Yeah.
the judge called it, he said, "Okay, we're deadlocked, and we're dismissed." The whole courtroom blew up. But my little girl ran down the middle of the aisle, ran past the barriers, and ran into my arms. And I picked her up. She was 3. And I turned around with her in my arms, and I looked at the jury one more time, and that black lady locked eyes with me, and she was just shaking her head.
Right.
She knew she had made the right decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the state come back 4 months later, so they couldn't get me for murder. So now
Mhm.
they're going to try me for manslaughter 4 months later.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, you know what? I don't want to put my family through this no more. I'm done fighting this. What are they offering? At first they offered 20.
Mm.
And then I guess my attorney was working a deal with him or not. And he did. He got it to drop, because in the trial, nobody at the trial, no eyewitnesses could ever put a gun in my hand. So they could
Right.
not try me for murder anymore. So they had to try me for manslaughter. So what wound up happening was, my attorney and the district attorney for the state of Mississippi, the county, wound up coming up with a deal for accessory to murder after the fact, which only carries 5 years. And
Yeah.
so they called me in the office, and they were like, you never know what a judge is going to do. We're
No,
not
you
telling
don't.
you. my attorney said, I'm not telling you to take any deal. Because I asked him, I said, well, what do you think I should do? And my attorney said, oh, no. This is a decision you going to make. I'm not the one that's going to be serving time. You're the one that's going to be serving time. So you need to make this decision. And I don't
Yeah.
expect you to make it today. But I'm just
Right.
telling you, this is what they're offering. And so I got on, I had a Ninja 650R at that time. And I got on it and I hit the beach. I never will forget. And I just rode. I drove from Bay St. Louis to Pascagoula, Mississippi on the beach and turned around and drove back. And by the time I got to Biloxi, I stopped. And this is kind of hard to talk about. I stopped and got off the bike and walked out to the water and began to pray and ask God if there was any way that I didn't have to go to prison. Could that be possible? Could he open that door? Could he give me that chance?
Yeah.
I didn't I didn't want to go. And
No.
when I turned around, it's crazy. When I turned around to walk back to my bike, I seen one set of footprints in the sand. And
Mm.
it reminded me of that poem
Yeah.
where there's two sets of footprints and then there's one where God's carrying you. And when
Yo.
I seen the one set of footprints in the sand, that told me right then, I got to go to prison. I knew it right then.
But he's
This
gonna
is,
carry you.
but he's gonna carry me.
That's right.
He's gonna carry me. And so about a month later, we go to the court. I take the plea deal, and I remember signing. I hated. Oh man, I hated it so bad. They said that I was guilty for accessory to murder, for
Mm.
murdering Ryan Christopher Braun, who was a friend of mine. And I looked at that piece of paper, and man, it was just so. It's one of the hardest things I ever had to do is agree that I had something to do with killing a friend of mine, you know? But if I didn't do this, the state was going to take me and I would probably serve 20 years for manslaughter just for the simple fact I was there, you know?
Yeah.
So I signed it, you know. I didn't know anything about an offered plea. You ever heard of that? Offered plea?
No.
Yeah, an Alford plea is when you plead.
Oh, yeah. Where you say that you're not guilty, but they have enough evidence to convict you.
No, it's the opposite. It's when you say you are guilty, but you're not really saying you're guilty.
All right,
It's
right,
called
right.
an offered plea. From what I understand,
And
how things are framed.
Alfred
Alfred,
plea.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, but that wasn't an option. So I went ahead and signed the paper, and I went in front of the judge, and that was the first time through this whole incident, through this whole year, the whole 5-6 year incident. That was the first time I was able to talk to the judge myself, one on one.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, Your Honor, I didn't even have a gun. I said, I didn't even know he was shot. I didn't know he was killed until I got to the police station. That's how I found out. When I was being interrogated, they told me he had died. And I never will forget what he said. He looked at me and he said, I got a grandson your age. He said, when I look at you, I can't help but see him. And you have encouraged me to go home this afternoon and call him up and have a talk with him. And then he looked at his paper and then he asked me, he said, please go sit down for a minute. So then he sat down, and that's when I seen him sentence all these other people that I talk about in my, 25, judge gave me 25, didn't budge,
Yeah.
whatever I said in Welcome to My Addiction.
Yeah.
That's for real. I seen that. Uh, he was throwing people was being thrown away,
Smoking boots.
smoking them. And
Yeah.
so throwing them away. Goodbye, habitual, mayonnaise, mandatory. So then he calls me back up right there. And he says, "Okay, young man." He said, "I've had time to think about this." He said, "I wish you the best." He said, "If you make it through this, when you get out, you might still be in your prime. And don't ruin that. Don't ruin your youth. When you get in there where you're going, when you're going where you're going, don't fall in there and ruin your youth. Because when you
Yeah.
get out, you can still be in your prime. And I have a song out right now called, I have a song I released called Prime. The first thing come to mind when the judge gave me my time. He said, I hope you make it out. You might still be in your prime. That's
He
real.
he
That's for
telling
real.
you he telling you not to waste your second chance before you even get it.
Right. He telling me to
Yeah.
stay away from the gangs and all, not
Yeah.
knowing I'm already affiliated, but stay away from the gangs. So then he looks down at his paper and pen and he says, okay, it's time to sentence you. And he says, I release you into the custody of MDOC for a period of 5 years. Then he looks around, he says, with 2.5 suspended and 2.5 to serve. Bailiff take him back. So
Yeah.
I got a blessing.
Yeah, you did.
I got a blessing.
Yeah.
And so then the bailiff took me back and that started my prison sentence.
Jeez. Now, when you started your prison sentence, you ended up being in one of the most treacherous little gladiator schools down there in Mississippi, didn't you?
Well, I did, but what's crazy is okay, so the place you're talking about is Parchman.
Yeah.
There's the famous penitentiary known in Mississippi where the movie Life was filmed. There've been a bunch of movies filmed
You
there.
gonna eat your cornbread.
You know, yeah, yeah. They filmed that in the at the old camps.
Yeah.
But the name of the place is called Parchman, and it's
Yeah.
not one penitentiary. It's 40 penitentiaries.
Jeez.
Four, yeah, not little bitty. 40 full size blown maximum security penitentiaries. 40
Damn.
of them. So you can imagine how big this place is. They have a policy. Okay, so real quick, the way Parchman is ran is just like slavery. Okay,
Mm.
you got to get up and go work the field every day. Pick pumpkins, snap peas, turnip greens. You know what I'm saying? They call it
No
long line.
choice.
No
No choice.
choice. No choice. I mean,
No
you do
choice.
have a choice.
Not really though. Not
You
really.
know,
Like
yeah,
you're
you
not
got a
gonna go
choice.
work in the library or
You got a
nothing.
choice. Yeah.
You're gonna
If
get
you
your
don't want to,
head thumped or you're
right.
gonna go play with pumpkins.
Hey, but
Like,
I seen them. I seen them. Them black dudes from the brickyard. They'll stand up.
wow.
They'll say, "I ain't going in the field, boss. I ain't going. We can go. Hey, go get the shield, get the K9. I ain't going in the field." And then they, he gets dealt with. But
And then they still throw him out there in the field, huh?
and he eventually still will go work the field. But
Yeah.
anyway, they got a policy out there. This is how big this place is. They got a policy out there.
Jeez.
While they're out there working the field, and they got the guards on the horses with the shotguns, you know what I'm saying? In the movies, they're white, but
Yeah.
in reality, they're black. Everybody,
Right.
the inmates, the warden, the guards, the lieutenants, K9 units, they're all the white people put you in the prison, the black people keep you there. I don't care who
Mm,
that offends. That's just the truth.
mm, mm.
But they still have a policy where if there's an inmate out there working the field and he drops and takes off running, trying to escape,
Yeah.
they're
The,
not
the,
going to chase after you.
the kill line.
Yeah,
Eh,
if you're on long line, if you're working long line, picking, working the field,
Yeah.
and you start to run and leave, even though dude is on horses and they're on four wheelers and ATVs, they're not going to chase you. They're
Yeah.
not going to
Just
chase you. They
got
might
him.
like slowly like stay behind you a while, but the policy of the penitentiary is let them run, let them get tired, and then we'll go get them.
Uh,
And that works because there's
they
absolutely
ain't going
nowhere to go.
nowhere. Yeah.
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look, literally hundreds of miles and miles and miles of cotton. Look, if you look this way, you ain't gonna see the end of the field. If you look this way, you ain't gonna see the end of the field. That's how
Jeez.
parchment is. Yeah. But what's crazy is here's the story I want to say, and I'll shut
Yeah.
up.
No, go.
You said, you was talking about a pretty rough place, a Thunderdome, which Parchment is. It's got some good areas too, but the state has been actively trying to shut it down because of how dangerous it is. And out of 40 penitentiaries, there's only maybe 5 or 6 open to this day. They have managed to shut the majority of them down though.
Right.
But I was at I did a lot of my time at a private penitentiary. It was still a state facility. Because of the nature of my charge, I wasn't allowed to go to a satellite or a regional facility. I could only serve time at state facilities with lifers because of the
Right.
nature of my charge. And
Right.
so
Right.
we're at a private state facility, and when we're pulling up, when we get to the gate, another inmate looks at me and he was like, "Bro, you good here? You Gucci here, bro? This is a what they call it, a PC camp. You know,
Yeah.
there ain't nothing, ain't nothing here but some peons." And they got good food. They did have good food, and the place is air conditioned. Parchment don't have air conditioning,
Right.
so or heat. So and it snows up there. So
Mm.
he's like, "Man, you got it good." So okay, we got it good. So I get off the bus at this place thinking, "Oh, this is good." I just came from Rankin County Quick Bed. I done seen some shit. Now I'm a little seasoned convict now, but now we're at DCF, Delta Correctional Facility in Greenwood, Mississippi, and so I'm like, I'm good, you know. Well, because of the nature of my charge, the way this prison is set up, they have a big wall divided down the penitentiary. They have they have A B C A B C D E F. The wall
Right.
divided right between D and F.
Yeah.
If you're on this side of the wall, then you're in programs, you're in discipleship now, you're playing basketball, you're getting good time, you're getting visits, you're getting not poor by, you're getting Christmas boxes, and you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
On this side of the wall, you're gang
It's
banging.
the dungeon.
The Thunderdome. And
Yeah.
so because of the nature of my charge, that's where they chose to put me in C building.
Mm.
When the inmates run the facility. When the inmates got to the door of the building, they would not even walk in the building. They gave me my stuff and they asked me, "Are you a man of the cloth?" And I said, "Well, I believe in God." And they said, "Well, do you mind if we say a little prayer with you before you go in this building?" And I'm thinking, because the inmate just on the bus told me this was a PC camp. Like I'm supposed
Yeah.
to be good, you know?
Yeah.
But
This
these
feels
guys,
like last rites, homie. What's going
right.
on?
So yeah, I'm cool. They pray with me, and he takes my Bible and he writes down his favorite Bible verse in the Bible. He gives it to me, and he says, "Good luck, young man." I'm like, "Okay." So I walk down the building. I walk to the hallway where the door is. I knock on the door. The guards in the tower see me. They buzz me in. Meh. The door opens. As soon as the door opens, it literally just hit me in my face like a bullet. This was the fucking jungle. Like
Uh,
smoke everywhere.
you
I
heard that
mean,
Guns N' Roses playing.
dominoes banging on the table, like, nation business every day.
Yeah.
So it was a bad place, except at night. At nighttime, when it was time to go to sleep, it would kind of turn into like the club because people had cell phones. They had dope cell phones.
I've
That
I've heard about that. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so they would play plies on the cell phone at night when we go to sleep, and it would echo through the zone. And it was just one of them times where you could find peace in the penitentiary. And so
One of them few times. Yeah.
well, a long story short, I'm sitting in the zone one day. Let me tell you this. This is a quick little story, okay? I'm sitting in the zone one day, and I'm watching this dude get a tattoo on his stomach, right? Big,
Yeah.
big, big, big gangster, like
Yeah. Yeah.
the house man for the gangsters, right? Big
Right.
gangster. I'm sitting there watching him getting a tattoo, and he's getting boss on his stomach in big letters. He has chapter AK verse 47, and right under that, he's got boss under that, right?
Right.
Well, I'm
Right.
sitting there, I'm looking at this him giving this tattoo, and I'm like, I said, wait a minute. I said, y'all missing an S in boss. I said, hold up. I said, I think I'm helping them, Ho, stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, if you do that, you're not going to have enough room for the other S. Boss is spelled Boss. And you just spelt it BOS. If you leave it that way, there will not be no room for the next S.
Yeah. It stands for something, huh?
The guy giving the tattoo puts his tattoo gun down and gets up and walks to the day room and brings back two more gangsters. And then they sit down and they go back to giving him his tattoo. But as he's giving him a tattoo, he looks over at them. He says, "Hey," they call me LK. He said, "Hey, LK, tell him what you just told me. Just like you just said it too." I didn't know any better. I was totally green. I
Yeah.
said,
You trying to help
yeah.
out.
I said, they spelled boss wrong. Boss is spelled B-O. I'm like demanding this. Bro, I'll go because I'm in the penitentiary. You talk different. Motherfucker, I'll get a dictionary right now and prove all of
Yeah,
y'all
yeah,
wrong. It's different.
yeah,
It's different.
yeah,
So it's like y'all spelling it wrong. And thank God, man, they started to die. They died laughing, bro. They died laughing. This man has BOS on his stomach. He's a gangster. It stands for Brothers of a Struggle. And
yeah,
so I'm thinking like they're and so a vice lord walks up and grabs him by the shoulder and he's like, we apologize, fella. We'll take it from here. You know what I'm saying? And so he turns me
hey,
around and puts his arm around me and he's like, bro, boss stands for this. And then he's like, but BOSS is something that you can get that stands for Brothers of the Same Struggle. You
right,
got BOS, Brothers of a Struggle, and then you got BOSS, Brothers of the Same Struggle. And
right,
so,
okay.
and righteously so, he said they could have just smashed you out and they let you make it. And
Yeah, they
so,
could have, bro. They really could have. That's
yeah,
crazy, bro. That's crazy.
yeah. So long story short, I'll get so about a month later, they come to me and they find out that I can play the guitar.
Yeah,
And so the chaplain comes to me and look, bro, I'm just being totally honest. I have no hate. So I'm just being totally honest here, okay? Because I'm white, that was very rare to happen. Like that's very rare that the chaplain comes to me to participate in the music. Matter of fact, I think they needed a white person up there so they could, make it. They didn't get in
yeah.
trouble. You know
All
what I'm saying?
kosher. Yeah,
Race matters in prison. So,
yeah.
but they come to me and he says, "I heard you can play the guitar," and then they say, "We want you to pack all your stuff up, and now you're leaving from this side of the wall to this side of the wall,
Hey,
and we'll give you 10 days a month off the end of your sentence." As long as you play music and do right on this side of the wall, right?
right.
And so I'm like, okay, bet. Who wouldn't take that? Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do
Yeah,
a discipleship program. They giving me a guitar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll do it. So I go back to the zone, and because I'm affiliated, I have to tell my house we got to call a meeting, and I tell the
yeah,
house man, I happen to have like $300 left on the phone, and I tell the house man, which was extremely hard to do because these guys will kill you. They're serving life in prison. They have nothing to lose. The
mhm,
dude's name was Head. That was his nickname. They called him Head,
right.
and he was a straight goon. And so I tell him that I'm going to the other side of the wall, and they giving me 10 days a month off the end of my sentence. And he says, "Are you going to the Christian pod?" And I said, "Yeah, it's the Discipleship Now program." And he started laughing so hard and he clowned on me, "You weak pussy bitch." But he did wind up giving me my time on the cell phone. "Here, nigga, take your $300 and get out of here. Get on the cell phone. You better use it all up right now before they call your name because they coming to get you." So I called my mama and all them and told them, "Hey, I'm fixing to go to a program. They're going to let me play the guitar, blah, 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 blah." Okay, long story short, they came and got me and I went to the other side of the wall. Been
Yeah,
on the other side of the wall for about 4 months until one day I woke up and normally all the inmates would be lined up ready to go back to eat. But
Mm.
this day, everybody was still in their bunk, and they had a crazy look on their face. And so I asked, what's going on? Can I get up and brush my teeth or whatever? And they tell me, they say they're allowing us to get up and go brush our teeth, but as soon as you brush your teeth, you got to go right back to your bunk because the whole facility's on lockdown because an inmate was killed. They just had a banging and an inmate was killed on the other side of the wall. So anytime an inmate is killed, they lock the whole facility down.
You just got up out of there too.
The zone it
Divine
happened in,
timing.
right where it happened, right where I heard the
Hey,
helicopter come and pick the other. There was two of them that was stabbed. There, there's
divine
so much
timing, homie.
divine time. Yeah, there's so much, man. There's just so much. So they tell me that there's been a banging, and a Simon City Royal was killed, and another one was stabbed, damn near to death. The helicopter had to come pick him up. So we're sitting in there. This happened on the other side of the wall. That
Mhm.
didn't matter. All of a sudden, we've been sitting there on our bunks for about 2 days, not moving. They're having to bring us, these styrofoam food
Yeah,
and handing out food. And one day we're just sitting there, and by the guys has figured out how to play chess games by hollering back and forth on the room.
yeah,
How to play card games, hollering back and forth. And some inmates pushed their luck and left their bed and went to other beds anyway. But in the Christian pod, you had a lot of guys that were actually real Christians that abide by the rules, that was
mhm.
living their life for God, read their Bible like straight up. But I still seen people almost lose their life in the Christian pod. I seen TVs get busted. I seen these amps that push these big radios get thrown across the zone.
Hey
Fist
man,
fights all the time. You know what I'm saying?
accepting Christ, accepting the Lord into your heart doesn't mean that you automatically gain control of your emotions. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole nother struggle, a mental. That's a mental growth thing.
Well, the problem is a lot of people that owed money in gambling, or a lot of people that was affiliated that had a smash on site on their head or smash out, they would come to the Christian pod for protection because they
Yeah,
knew that they would be protected there. And so they were there for the wrong reason. Anyway, we've been on lockdown for about 2 or 3 days. We've been sitting on the bed for about 2 or 3 days. And I never will forget it. All of a sudden, it was so eerie. It was so quiet. All of a sudden, we heard these people yelling cadences, left, left, right, left, and then we heard the boots coming down the hallway,
yeah,
and it was the K9 unit, the security threat group, STG. They had the
yeah,
beanbag guns, they had the big mace canisters, they had the shields, and we're the Christian pod.
yeah,
They come in there and bust through the door and start busting on us, telling us get on the ground. They strip us all butt naked. They line us all up, march us out of the building butt naked, marching us across the basketball court to the gym, laid us all out on our stomach across the gym butt naked, went all up in our personal everywhere. And finally we were laying on the gym floor butt naked with our hands behind our back for like 2 hours. Finally, when they let us get up and leave, we got back into a single line. The whole time I had we got a beanbag gun about this far from our face. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so we get marched back to the zone. When we get into the zone, it looked like Hurricane Katrina had visited the zone. Like,
Catastrophe.
cause I'm telling bruh, and we had it nice. Like we had coffee machines, we had flat screen
Yeah,
TVs, we even had an Xbox. I mean, we had all that was flipped, and so that in itself started fights in the pod. So there was
yeah.
actually naked inmates throwing fists, fighting over no, this is mine, no, this is mine.
That get
You know what
rich or die trying shower scene come to life right
I'm
there,
saying?
bro.
Yeah, right. So, long story short, pushing forward, pushing forward, pushing forward. The facility, the state came together and made the decision after the inmate was killed that they're going to shut the facility down. And this would be the second time that they shut this facility down. It was just too dangerous.
Yeah,
So, they shut the facility down. And you know, you had said, well, you was in one of the worst places. I was, but the worst shit that I seen some pretty bad shit in Parchment in Rankin County too. But the worst shit where I was involved, where an inmate was killed, and the helicopter had to come pick another one up to save his life, was actually at a laid back facility, is what I was told. You know,
Right,
and so
right,
but I never will forget it, man. After all that was gone, we're out of lockdown. The facility's starting to run back normal. Everybody's going back to eat and coming back and starting their program and stuff. I never will forget it, man. The TV, God spoke to me through the TV, and He said, I am going to take you out of your comfort zone. And so that really struck my heart really hard. So I had got my Bible and I had got alone to myself, and they had called me for a med call. And because I was on this side of the wall, they allowed you to walk from your building to medical by yourself. You didn't have to be escorted by a guard.
right.
So I took my Bible, and I never will forget it. I opened it, I started to read, and the part I read in the Bible was talking about how they work the field all day, and they are a rebellious house, and they know not their Lord their God. And I
Mm,
knew then when I read that, I'm going to Parchman. I knew it. I just knew it in my soul. So I went to medical, come back. A week later, the door pops. It swings open. Out of 100 inmates, I'm the only one they call. Bed 48, pack it up. I'm the
damn.
only one they call.
Oh hell, man.
So everybody starts to cry. I start to cry. And so I pack it up and go to Central Holden. They're not allowed to tell you where you're going. You know when they move inmates, they don't tell you that type of information. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Uh, but before you can go anywhere, you have to go to Rankin County Transit. You don't leave the prison you're at to go to the next one. You leave the prison you're at to go to a transit center,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
then you leave the transit center to go where you're going to go.
yeah.
So when I left DCF, I went to the transit center. The transit center at Rankin County, in of itself, was a thunderdome. Just inmates in limbo, like
That's
lost in the
usually
system.
how those places are, from what I hear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I seen my homeboy personally from my town lose a couple of his teeth, and he was pretty tough too.
right.
And when we pulled up to Rankin County Transit, there was a banging going on that they had to stop. They made us come in and sit on the ground against the wall until they sorted it all out. You know what I'm saying? So when I finally get in the zone, I'm a full blown Latin king. You know, tattoos all over me. I'm known in the penitentiary now because I can freestyle and I play the guitar, and
Yeah,
so I have other Latin kings younger than me walking up to me talking about this older Latin king on the zone is stealing money and stuff. How am I going to deal with that? You know what I'm saying? Nation business. I was scared to death. And
mm,
so one night I got on my bed and I got on my knees. The Muslims did it. So I was like, if the Muslims can do it, I can do it, you know?
right, right.
So I got on my knees and I got on my face and I just asked God, man. I was like, please take me out of this place. Take me out of transit. I can't I was so lost and scared in transit. There was so many
Yeah.
more gangsters than us. And any time something could have popped off. And so I went to bed. The inmate sleeping underneath me didn't even know me. And he reached out to me and he grabbed me and he was like, "Are you okay, bro?" And I was
Well,
like,
bro,
"Yeah, I'm good."
I think that's a really, really cold feeling that pretty much anybody out here in the comments or probably on the replay, they probably can't even wrap their head around what type of despair and cold feeling that was
Oh
that you were
man.
going through in that moment. Like,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
imagine.
It's one thing to say it, but like really, really put yourself into that mentality, people. Like,
Yeah.
listen to the words he said. Like, bro, that was with despair and cold,
Right. Well, I mean, like, imagine walking into a room with 100 guys that will kill you, and they
right?
lock the door behind you.
Yeah, and ain't nobody looking out for you.
Ain't nobody looking out for you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Matter of fact, it's the opposite. They looking to
Yeah.
get you.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
get you for
You
stuff.
fresh.
I got a whole story about when I came to Rankin County Quick Bed, and when I officially announced that I was a Latin King, and I had to fall in under the Almighty Nation, how they ran the organization with inside the penitentiary. The guards that would meet with the heads of each zone is assigned a house man that represents the nation. It doesn't matter what gang organization you're in. When you fall under the nation of gangs, you have to answer to this house man. And at night, the house man would answer to the lieutenants in the prison and give them an update on, hey, we think, this is fixing to happen or this is not fixing to happen, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Any other gang members
Right.
caught talking to police officers, they would be called a snitch, and that would work another way. But I got on my face, asked God to please remove me from this place, and it was just like that. It was like at 4 o'clock in the morning, and guard shook me, woke me up, and I woke up and I looked at him, and he's standing next to. I'm on the top bunk, and he's standing next to me. He's got a piece of paper, and he says, "What's your MDOC number?" And I say, 166722, and he says, "Pack it up, pack it up." Okay, pack
Yeah.
it up. So
Yeah.
so I pack it up. This is like 4:30 in the morning, okay? And I'll tell this story and then I'll shut up. Um it's 4:30 in the morning, and I pack it up. They tell me, the inmates in transit tell me, they're like, bro, you do not want to go to Parchman, and you do not want to go to Greene County. Any other, there's multiple private facilities, regional facilities throughout the state of Mississippi, but those
Mhm.
two state facilities, Greene County and Parchman, you do not want to go there, bro. So if a big bus pulls up, just know you're going to Greene County. But if a van pulls up, just know there's a slight chance you might go to Parchman, but you should be okay. And I'm like, okay, appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
deal. And so I pack it up. They take me down to Central Holden at Rankin County, and they put us into a holding cell at 4:30 in the morning. And then throughout the day, throughout the morning, more inmates start to come into this holding cell. And then we start to meet each other and talk, hey, where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you been? Blah, blah, blah. 5 o'clock comes, 6 o'clock comes, 9 o'clock comes, 9:30 comes, 10 o'clock comes, 10:30 comes. This is brutal. Like, we're in a holding cell, brutal. They woke me up at
Yeah.
4 o'clock in the morning, and we got all our stuff wrapped in a blanket. You know what I'm
And they
saying?
just keep putting more people in there.
And they keep putting more people in there, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and a lot of people ain't night and these some of these sloppy motherfuckers walking on flip flops and their shit's falling out. They ain't
Yeah.
had a bath. You know what I'm saying? And so
The
they
people of
stink.
Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's right. And so finally they start beating on the door. Hey, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So dude comes by and he says, it's shift change right now. We're going to deal with y'all after shift change. And we're like, what the shift change? We're going to be in here until shift change. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, they put me in there at 4 o'clock in the morning. At 2:30 in the afternoon, the door finally pops.
Mm.
And they come out and they say, when we call your MDOC number, come line up on the wall out here with your stuff.
How
They
many
go
dudes you think is in there at that point, man? That's 10 hours you've been in there. How many dudes you think's in there by the end of that 10 hours?
about 30,
Jeez.
about 30. So,
Yeah.
which is a busload. And that was
Yeah.
in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh shit, we got a busload.
Right.
And everybody, all 30 of these men, the main conversation in this holding tank was, bruh, I hope they don't send me to Greene County or Parchman. I hope they don't.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
people over here talking. What are y'all talking about? We don't want to go to Parchman, Greene. Like
Yeah, same
everybody,
shit y'all on. Yeah.
dude, even people that's already been there, they're like, bro, I went there. I was in there in '08. I was in there in '05. I was in there in 2010. You don't want to go to that motherfucker. And so they're yelling out the window, hey, is the van here or is the bus here?
Yeah.
And they won't say nothing. So anyway, so they pull us out. They go through the inmate's name and they pull out about 25, and they leave me and four other inmates in there and shut the door. So I'm like, I think I'm finna get out, but
50
I'm not.
50 50
I'm still
50 at
here.
this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So then about 45 minutes goes by, the door pops, they open it. They say, when we call your MDOC number, come out. And they called two more MDOC numbers, which wasn't mine.
Yeah.
So I'm left in there. It's me and two other Bloods that are left in there. And one of them winds up becoming one of my fucking ace Boone Coons of Blood from Natchez, Mississippi. And I wish I could see him. I wish him nothing but the best. That dude, Mo, bro, there's so fucking much.
Well, I was about to say, bro, like, we might have to do a part two because I like to try, you know what I mean? Like, I usually try to be like an hour, hour and a half. We about at 2 hours and we ain't even got to where I've
Yeah.
been trying to end up yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right. Let me finish. Let me finish this. So long story short, after all that we waited, um, they come and got me and those two other Bloods, and thank God a van pulls up instead of a bus.
Yeah,
All them other guys did go to Greene County,
yeah, yeah,
except for me. When I read the Bible, God had already told me you're going to Parchman, because I read in the Bible they work the field all day long.
yeah,
They
yeah.
are a rebellious house, and they knoweth not the Lord thy God. And I
Mm,
knew in my soul that meant you got to go to Parchman. And so we get on a van, and we stop at some other facilities, pick up other inmates, drop other inmates off. We keep on going. I wind up falling asleep, and then the whole van. I wake up and I see nothing but cotton fields, and we're
yeah,
just driving and driving, and these big farm equipments, these big farm arch equipments with these wheels that'll ride down the damn. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I know. Yeah, I
Fertilizer.
know exactly what you're saying, bro. I grew up in Alabama, man. We had cotton
Yeah.
all over everywhere. Yeah,
So I went back to sleep, but the eerie feeling that fell over the van, everybody just shut up, woke me back up. And I never will forget it. Coming in, I seen the big gates, and I turned to the guy next to me. I said, "Where are we at?" And he says, "Parchman," like
parts.
that, Parchman. And God was right again. And so we enter the gate. When you enter the gate of Parchman, it takes you 20-25 minutes driving down that main road before you get to the first facility, which is a hospital.
Right.
Then when you're there, you take a left, you got camps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24,
P.
25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 20. 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. All these, they're not little camps. They call them camps, but all these are full-blown maximum penitentiaries, full-grown penitentiaries.
Damn,
And
boy.
that's how big this place was. So we pull in, and they take me to Camp 29, Castle Grayskull. And it's just, it's there's so much shit. I don't even know. I mean, we might do a part two. I don't know, but I want to tell this story, and then I'll shut up.
Well, go
Um,
ahead, bro. Go ahead.
this right here stuck with me. Okay,
All right.
so I did my time in Parchman. I seen a bunch of shit. If you ever been to my live, I told you about my friend Buddy, who always used to say, you'll be back. You're coming back. You'll be back.
Right.
You'll
Right,
be
right, right.
back. The day we made parole, when I came into Parchman, it was an eerie feeling in the van. Everybody shut up, and I was like, "Where are we at?" And the dude's like, "We're at Parchman." And when I entered Camp 29, just the screaming and the yelling and the suffering and the banging and just the war that's still going on, probably right this very second, is
Mm-hmm.
never
Yeah.
stops. And so but there are places, like I did wind up going to Camp 25, which is a chill, but I can't. No, I've seen some shit there too.
He had to catch
Yeah,
himself on that
yeah.
one, fellas.
But what I want to say is, the day I made parole, I came into Parchman. It was a eerie feeling, and then the day I made parole, they were executing an inmate on death
Yeah.
row,
Yeah.
and
That's something right there, bro. That's I don't know a whole lot of people who have that story.
yeah, but I see Dan Stone. What's up, Dan? Uh, I, I
So
I can't see people in the comments, but I'm
we
pretty
got
sure
Misty,
Jamie,
we got
Misty,
Jamie
yeah,
Williams, we got yeah.
yeah,
I've been watching them, bro. We got my side, your side. We've had a little bit of
okay.
everybody, man.
But and this might be hard to explain, but they come back to the zone and they told us after we had dressed out. I tell the story on the live about when we're on the bus. This mother and her daughter looking at us, and they said, "What? I'm sorry. Did y'all just get where? What are y'all?" Or they said, "What are y'all doing? Or where do y'all work? Or where did y'all just come from?" And my buddy's like, "Without missing a beat, we're on a mission from God. You got a cigarette?"
Blues Brothers. He hit him with the Blues Brothers, man. Come
The Blues
on.
Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, hit him with the
Blue,
Blues
they
Brothers.
look just like the Blues. We're on a mission from God. You got a cigarette?
Uh,
But anyway, but so we're dressed out like the Blues Brothers, and they come in the zone, and they're like, "Man, they had to execute an inmate today, and there's no movement, so y'all might not you might not go home today, even though this was your parole date." So then come the debate of we might have a lawsuit because if we wind up staying longer than our tentative date, we would have a lawsuit. So then the penitentiary decided to go ahead and allow us to leave, even though there's supposed to be no movement on the penitentiary. So when we go out to the van to leave, like this blooming, flourishing town, that's what Parchment is. Parchment is a town. They have a they have a central UPS warehouse. They have a red
Crazy.
light. They have all type of. I mean, it's a town. They have people that live there, children catching school buses during the day. That's what
That's
Parchment is.
wild, bro.
And so
That's
none of
wild.
that was going on. None of everything stopped when they was executing. And so I'm riding back down that really long road with all the cotton fields next to us. And we're not passing no cars or nothing. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing,
Yeah.
and everything was just, even the radios, you know how they talk back and forth on the radio?
Yeah.
Even the radios was silenced. It was like a
Mm.
eerie feeling. And it was like God was telling me, I'm letting you out, but you can come back.
Silence is powerful, bro.
Right.
Silence is power.
I've talked enough, man. I appreciate.
Hey, man, the chat is going crazy, bro. They talking about part two, part two, part two. Then it said part two, three, four. Now five, six, seven, eight. Now nine, 10, and 11. Like they going crazy for more, bro. So we gonna have to line it up for at least a part two, at least, brother. But I would be remiss with this whole interview if I didn't tie this whole thing up with bringing it to Welcome to My Addiction. All right. So
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, I didn't even get to delve into some of the things about, your full addiction and the depths of that, because I wanted to tie into that and then put that, with the
Yeah.
welcome to my addiction at the end of it. Could you do a quick synopsis of the whole saga of Welcome to My Addiction?
Yeah. I mean, I was a full blown addict in prison. I mean, there's drugs in there like
For
you wouldn't
sure,
believe.
for sure.
But so basically, I didn't want to do this no more. I I still think about it a lot of days. And me and Haystack just kind of had like, I wouldn't say a falling out, but we had a come to Jesus talk. And
Well, man,
basically,
when your brothers, when you're tight like that, bro, you know, having to come to Jesus talk ain't the end of what I mean, that ain't
right.
gonna destroy nothing. That's brotherly love, bro.
Haystack just announced his tour, Strictly Business tour. And I could have been on that tour. Big Smo's going to be on the tour. I think Trey Healy's going to be on the tour. But Haystack was really rooting for me because he loved Well Hell. He wanted me to be on the tour. And reality, I guess, along the way of me being in Nashville the other week, uh, hit in. I'm a father. I have three
Yeah,
boys I got to raise, and
yeah.
unfortunately, I would love to do music. I would love to, be known and change lives and all that stuff. But unfortunately, I have three boys I have to raise. And
Yeah.
so back to what you're saying, I wanted to quit. And Chopper called me and he was like, "Hey, bro, look, before you call it quits, can you write a song about addiction?" And I told him, yeah, but then I was like, I'm not feeling it because I don't want to do this no more. Well, I wound up getting hurt playing football in December last year, and I went to the hospital because I hurt my back. I couldn't even get out of bed. And the doctor at the hospital told me, looking at my X-rays, he was like, you know, you got all these calcium deposits in your vertebrae from where your body's trying to repair itself. Do you know what's eating your vertebrae, right? I said, no, I don't. He said, it's the buprenorphine and the Suboxone that you've been taking for 15 years. It
Mm.
replaces the natural chemical that your body produces, and it's called opioid-induced osteoporosis.
Well,
And
it eats
so,
away at your teeth too. I know that came out a little while back.
if you take it sublingually, it'll eat your
Yeah,
teeth. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I didn't take it I never for 15 years I've never done it sublingually,
yeah.
Uh so my
I
it's
have.
eating my sinus cavities up, it's eating my vertebrae, it's eating my rib cage, it's eating my neck. And so that once again, God come to me and said, "You got to stop. You got to stop this stuff." And I've tried before. I've went back to jail and detoxed in jail. When I got out of prison, I was detoxed and went right back to taking Suboxone. But that
Mhm.
was kind of like my medication also too, because it kept me out of Roxy's and Oxys and all that
Well,
other
it's
drugs.
a crutch, bro. It's a crutch.
Right.
I take it, and I can admit it's a crutch. It's
I
also
still take
part
it. I
of my
I still do
weakness.
dust every day. I do. I take it. I break it in half. I take my knife, and I scrape it,
Yeah.
and I do dust. I count
See,
some days.
I take very little my damn self, bro,
Yeah.
especially compared to what I used to, right? But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, man, it's still though. I'm aware that that is a weakness I have, and I am not happy with that weakness. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, so the doctor told me that, and so I was like, well, damn, I got to stop. And then along all this time in country rap, everybody's dissing everybody. And I just didn't feel called to diss anybody. I felt this was my time. Actually, I didn't have nothing to do with it. It all just kind of happened by itself. So I came in this room right here, and my engineer, who C12 Omega, shout out Rake Straw, C12 Omega, he also was in my ear constantly. You're not quitting. You don't say that. You're not. And he's sending me beats, pushing me, pushing me, pushing me.
right.
So I come into the room and I start going through these beats. And now I have something personal to write about because the doctor said I have to stop Suboxone or I might not be able to walk at 42 years old.
Real talk.
So I'm going through the beats and I hear the beat for Welcome to My Addiction. I hear it. And I'm like, this is it. And it's one of them songs where it literally wrote itself. When my pen touched the paper, my pen did
Yeah.
not leave the paper until the song was
I know
wrote.
I know what you're talking about, bro. It just flows. It's one of those that
Yeah,
just
yeah.
flows and everything
I,
goes.
I sent it to Dub 3030. Shout out Dub 3030. And Dub mixed and mastered it and sent it back. And he was like, Dub really don't, it's just a profession for him. It's professional. But even
Right.
Dub was like, man, you got you one here, bro. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you do a
Nice.
good
Nice.
video. Make sure you do a good promotion. So I sent it to Chopper before it was released. And Chopper was like, man, all the guys in the shop like it. We love it. You know what I'm saying? You got you one here. And
Yeah.
so I was talking to a bunch of type of different videographers about how to do the video and all that stuff. And then I felt like, you know what? I said, me and my son, I paid extra money for an iPhone 15 Pro Max. I said, me and my son can go out here in the streets in the hoods where I'm allowed, and we gonna shoot this music video. And so literally,
Yeah.
me and my
Yeah.
son Me and my son with my cell phone went and shot "Welcome to My Addiction," and I put it together. I think right now it's been out a month on YouTube. It's like over 20,000 streams,
Yeah, I saw
and
it the other day at 20 a few days ago.
yeah, I really was thinking that it would do bigger than that, but I really feel like it has done bigger than that because it's touched so many people's lives. Uh, Lord Lust messaged me today on Facebook, and he was like, there was somebody in the chat room last night on Hickorbilly that said that your song saved their life, stopped them from committing suicide.
Hey, bro, that's the song has done its purpose right there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even if it's one, I got about like 24 bars that I wrote not too long back, man, about a guy that had hit me up on here, and he was talking about he was gonna take his life, and you know what I mean. Unfortunately, he did, but I mean, I started it out. I said I got a DM from a guy told me he gonna end it all. Said that I can't change his mind, but it still be down to talk. I'm like, who the hell am I? Should I even get involved? Could have
Oh.
told him suck it up, buck, go and walk it off.
Uh.
Got to rapping with the kid. Got to know about it, be it. Got to know. Uh, uh, all about got to know the crazy things that the family thought he did.
Oh.
But I don't remember all of it, bro. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it comes in.
Yeah. That was
But
cold,
it's
bro.
a true
That was
story
good.
though. But you know what I
That.
mean? R.I.P. Jimmy Buckley. You know what I mean? That's why I said on the part where it says could have told him suck it up, Buck, go and walk it off. Cause you know what I mean, his
Yeah.
not last name was Buckley. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I
It's
don't have a
real.
beat. I don't have a beat, nothing like that. But I just wrote it like it just came to mind one day, man. I actually heard somebody say one sentence, and it was, "I got a DM from a guy," and that's all I heard him say. And it just like you saying, flowing. You know what I mean? It was, I got a
Yeah.
DM from a guy told me he gonna end it all. Said that I can't change his mind, but he still be down to talk. I'm like, who the hell am I? Should I even get involved? Could have told him suck it up, Buck, go and walk it off. Got to rapping with
Yeah.
the kid. Got to know about it, bitch. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I play, bro. I used to do music. I ain't did it in a long time, man, but I've been thinking about doing it more. My homie New Age Plug, he been getting me, you know what I mean? He gets me fired up, bro. He sends me stems and be like, it's just like you were talking about your homeboy, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
he be getting me to it, bro. But
Yeah. I'm gonna tell
look,
you right now, man. Some of the best songs. I learned this. So I perfected my craft in the penitentiary rapping. Like I was the only white boy, that actually was successful. But some of the best songs. How I learned how to rap. Some of the best songs was just like, "It's a late night creeper trapping
hey,
in my sneaker." Just sitting there
hey,
in the day
yeah,
room, just rapping,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
how we
yeah.
pass the time. And I was able to perfect what I was saying. Chilling like a villain and dealing the penicillin on a corner, making a killing and drilling, killing my villain. Now, just
See, that's
doing
that's
that.
how it was for me in school coming up, bro.
Yeah,
Like my
yeah,
whole life, you know what I mean? Coming up, bro, it was always rapping. Like, bro, I didn't sit down and write raps like for real until I got probably about 13. But like I was doing nothing but freestyles from like
right,
8, 9 up to 13. So by the time I got 15, bro, I was killing it with freestyles. But
right.
I ain't freestyled in a long, long time, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
I
so
know, bro. I feel like it's turned into something different than what it used to be.
it is, bro, because they call freestyles written verses done on the spot. Like freestyles
Yeah,
is what
that's not
comes
free.
off your dome.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Now they
yeah.
just sit there and insult each other back and forth. They don't even have to rhyme. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean a lot of the music they don't even have to rhyme anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and but like like just in that little rhyme scheme I was just spitting, bro. Like I like taking words that don't rhyme but saying them differently with a southern slur or some kind of slur to make them rhyme with a word they don't rhyme with. You know what I mean? Like I like doing shit like that.
right,
Um,
right,
but it
right,
but it still sounds like it rhymes.
right.
Um, well, look,
I
man, we go ahead.
I was just gonna say I felt like when I started uh this music thing, I started singing, and it just accidentally evolved into rap. And when I met Haystack, it just kind of bloomed from there. And I felt like I could take the experiences that I had in the penitentiary in Parchman and them cotton fields and running the streets at a young age of my mother and father, my family, and me, a victim of crack, my brother, a victim of the streets. And that is what makes, and faith in God and being guided by the Holy Ghost, that is what makes Bloodhound. And I feel like I can take that and put it in music and touch people all over the world, from Huntsville to Gainesville to Nashville to
Yeah,
Bowling Green, Biloxi to Pensacola. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
Oh yeah, bro.
but to be honest with you, right, I'm a father, and I don't even think I don't even have the energy. You know, they want me to go to Vermont and do a show, and I'm going to do that. I'll be in Vermont and I'll do a show, but it's like, if I wish all this would have happened when I was 20, during my 20s. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't, and it is what it is. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you for having me. I appreciate y'all for
I,
pushing me, man. Y'all have
I
been a
appreciate you
huge
for
part of
coming.
my yeah, y'all been a huge part of my recovery, bro. I appreciate you letting me talk and run my mouth and fucking talk too much.
You're
And
more than welcome over here, bro. Like I said, we'll do a part two. We'll get into it a little deeper. You know what I mean? Like, they feeling it out there, bro. So if they feeling it, we might as well give it to them when we can. No Diddy.
yeah,
You know?
can't see the chat, but I appreciate. I see dude's comment. I feel like God brought me here tonight exactly when I was supposed to, but I will watch the replay to see what I meant. Yeah, that's what's up, man. I appreciate shout out him.
Divine timing. Divine
Yeah, yeah,
timing,
you
man.
did.
Telling you, bro. Look,
Yeah,
there's rules to this universe, bro. You know what I mean? And divine timing falls into a few of those rules.
right.
Um,
I totally agree, bro.
but look, bro, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take both of us down off the stage. We're gonna hit them with "Welcome to My Addiction" on the way out, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, well, hit it, man. I appreciate it, bro. I really do, man.
Hey, everybody out there in the chat, everybody that stayed this long, everybody that started from the beginning and still here, everybody that's hit the replay, made it to the end, man. Each one of y'all, I want you to know that we
Oh,
appreciate it greatly.
let me say this.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is an official announcement on your channel right here. Here I go.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
because these messages just came in earlier when we started talking about when I was giving my testimony. These messages came in. So
All
Hosier
right.
has reached back out to me on TikTok, and now he has agreed to come on my live. And now he just messaged me and he said he wants me to message him on his Instagram so we can set up a time. So it looks like next Tuesday on Country Shake, with me chopping it up with Chopper, Hosier's gonna be on the live now. So
Excellent.
putting
That's
that out.
dope, man. That's dope. I know you've been asking him to come on, and you know, I mean, it doesn't have to be two Rams headbutting, bro. I mean,
Oh,
it can be
right,
two grown men speaking English language. You know what I mean? That's
right,
all it has to be, bro.
right.
Um,
I agree.
look, I respect that. I respect him reaching back out, saying, "Yo, let's sit down and do it, man." That's highly respectful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
For sure. Hey, I appreciate you breaking that over here, man. So everybody out there, Bloodhound Nation, all y'all, you've heard it here first over here in the Corrupt Cartel. Um, everybody that's still here, man, once again, greatly appreciated. You guys already know what time it is over here. It's Thunder Gang, baby. OCE, Old Cracker Entertainment. And we here for the long run, man. With much gratitude and great respect. Shout out to everybody that swung over from Bloodhound's channel. Uh,
A metal spoon in the sink as the water goes dink. Bent from from the use and it's spent from abuse. Copped a quarter pack blunt, quarterback runs. Get my quarterback, gotta come up on a sack. 17 smoking things you would never dream. Then I turn to things and the things turn to me. Needle in my arm now, tell me who to harm now. Bent from the use, that explains my abuse. Tell you about way when before I hit the state pen. Not too long, I was walking out the playpen. Daddy left gone now, never came home. Wow, all that yap yap, couldn't hear jack crap. Come up out the woods and I turned to the hoods. Used to run the streets in the street like fight night. Bloodhound dog, and yes I might bite. Earn my stripes on a hot pink white bike. Killing like a villain and dealing the penicillin on the corner, making a killing. And the dog does the healing, but he's really doing the killing. And the addict is the villain, but we can be here to help if he's really, really willing. Bloody Mary, very scary, banging for a capillary, fitting all some crazy shit. Another in the cemetery, green, tell it up. Now we tell it the obituary. With the gather really late, wonder what they celebrate. Welcome to my addiction. No, it's no fiction. Leave you in the zone, hey, left and all alone, hey. Welcome to my addiction. Oh no, it's no fiction. Leave you in the zone, hey, left and all alone, hey. Pretty Ricky never made it deep in Mississippi, getting with me. Heavy on the hitting and we heavy and we getting. Looking 10, 25 years, only after 5 years. Can we get a break, Judge? 25 didn't budge. Opioid, tabloid, can I get him really annoyed? Have you ever been through a withdrawal, through the falls, through the spring? Know what I mean? Clean as a whistle. Syringe on a bench and it's looking like a missile. Buprenorphine for the fiend, gotta stay clean. Gotta make believe or the state might be just coming after me. Suspended 25 and they only gave me 3. So please set me free. Oxycodone, get your mind rolled on. 30 milligrams in it, Sam I am. Would you eat it with a fox? Would you eat it in a box on a 2-tier block and a count time lock? In the tub, shaking sober as a judge aching. Living on a sub and I love bacon. Listen to the rain as the pain comes. Let the rain numb every bit of love making. Lord, please, would you please meet me on my knees? I'm begging you now anyway, anyhow. It's peel after deal after deal. Take my free will as I begin to heal. You were all mine, down to my last dime. Can we hit rewind? Cause I'm running out of time. This is my addiction. Oh no, it's no fiction. Leave you on the zone, hey, left and all alone, hey. Friday afternoon and I'm tripping on shrooms. Children in the room and they watching Looney Tunes. I'm in the back breaking up a quarter sack. K9's out and they ready to attack. Cameras in the front but they breaking down the back. Guess I got a warrant and they gotta come to serve. 25 years if they counting every bird. Handcuffed wrist and I didn't say a word. Baby don't cry, daddy go bye-bye. I'll see you real soon when I leave this room. Remain strong and it won't be long. But who am I kidding? You'll probably be wrong. Mandatory time is a statutory crime. And my life was on the line, but my life was on the line. But baby you'll be fine, I would write you all the time. Yeah, I'll write you all the time. You were always on my mind. Well, welcome to my addiction. Oh no, it's no fiction. Leave you on the zone, hey, left and all alone, hey. Welcome to my addiction. Oh no, it's no fiction. Leave you on the zone, hey, left and all alone, hey. Leave you on the zone, hey, left and all alone, hey. Bloodhound Nation. On the zone, hey, left and all alone, hey.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss. See, I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Stroke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
For me, hope you ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head.